I think for me, people think that we're nuts because we go home after a gig and like silence. The ride home is just super quiet. Like, don't talk to me, don't say anything to me, don't play music around me. My ears need a break at that point. But I think for me, learning to block things out, kind of compartmentalize when appropriate. I don't think that it's the best to live in a compartment way, but if you can kind of separate some things like, all right, I'm gonna turn this part of my brain on while I'm working, and then when I get home, I'm removing this part of my brain so I can now focus on being Bria, you know, the actual human side of me versus the personality and the star, the performer. So I think learning how to turn things on and off and having some control like that really helps me personally.
In public relations, communications, marketing, there's a certain adrenaline that you get when you are really in the depths of the work. And even in a crisis situation, people are looking to you to be the voice of reason. And you really have to dig deep and not react in a way that perhaps others around you are. It's become like my superpower. It's a lot of mind management. You have to manage your mind. That's the only way you can move these things forward. Surrounding yourself with people who also can do that and can be that rock for you when you're in those moments. Overcoming shame and recognizing that we're all human. That's really what I would say my secret sauce is for managing my mind.
Being an athlete, you have to have your mind right. Your mind is your most powerful weapon that you have. Doesn't matter how big, doesn't matter how strong you are, doesn't matter how hard you hit. You have to be mentally tough to play sports. And you really have to be mentally tough to make it all the way through college and all the way to the NFL. If you lose your mind, you cannot perform at a high level, you cannot do your job. So it's very important for me to stay in a routine that keeps me happy, keeps me smiling, that makes me proud, that keeps me motivated. So I stick with that routine daily. I love to spend time outside. I love to spend time in nature. I feel like nature is the greatest therapy tool in the world for me. So going fishing, going hiking, going on a bike ride, doing things with my family are my favorite things and things that make me mentally sound.
I think perspective is everything. I think that we lose perspective, and that's what makes us worried and stressed. So there are ways to regain perspective. One way that I like to regain perspective if I feel worried or scared or even really angry, I start to think about all of the things in my life that I'm grateful for, because one thing I learned going through 5 years of fighting cancer is that when you start to think about gratitude and what you genuinely have to be grateful for, it fights fear in a way that nothing else does. Your spirit just starts to lift when you start to think about those things. And so the things that are wrong or scary or worrisome are still scary, are still worrisome, but your perspective shifts because you realize that as much as there's something that we might think of as bad, there's also so much good.
When you make room for your emotions, you create a safe space for yourself to heal. To acknowledge what you're feeling, maybe go for a walk, maybe read a positive book, listen to your favorite song, right? Find a healthy practice. It could be meditation, it could be working out. Find something, right, to help you cope through this time. Find that healthy outlet to help you manage your emotions.
Physical activity is really important to me as like a stress reliever, and it's a very big part of my life and it always has been. So I definitely plan on swimming, either club or just swimming in my free time during college, and I plan on going to college in a city that has an adult roller derby league. I'd say physical activity is my main way of centering myself, but I also do talk to my mom a lot. She is definitely one of my biggest supports and stress relievers, and if I ever have issues, I just go and talk to her and she's able to help me work through them.
Grounding techniques are my favorite thing ever. There's deep breathing, so box breathing, inhaling for 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, and holding that exhale for 4. But if you really need something specific, there's a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique. Obviously, it depends on your location. So let's say you're in an actual plane. You could do 5 things that you are seeing right now, and then 4 things that you're hearing, 3 things that you're smelling, 2 things that you're touching, and 1 thing that you're tasting. And as you're going through that, you may find that you kind of bring yourself in again.
I hit tennis balls really hard. I started playing a lot during COVID. I learned as an adult, tennis is really my happy space. It's just those physical releases during COVID, during all the trials and tribulations this industry has seen, even recently with the slowdown, we had over 40 families on food stamps. That keeps me awake at night, because our job at the end of the day is to bring those jobs here. We do it in a fun way with an exciting industry like the film industry. So I take all that very seriously, and to run away, I'll go hit tennis balls really hard for an hour, and then I feel better, can move on with my day.
Well, I think a lot of it depends on being able to set barriers. You know, when you're at work, you have to leave work at work. Don't bring it home. And you take that same thing on the field, you know, regardless of what happened on the sports field, win, loss, never brought that home, because that's something that your family didn't do. And, you know, you have to be able to separate that. And I know a lot of people talk about work-life balance. That's very important, not just in athletics, but it's very important just in your day-to-day life.
Whenever I start to get really anxious or nervous about something, I do a lot of self-talk. Are you happy about where we're going? Are you looking forward to it? Where are you calm and serene and peaceful and happy? Where is that? Okay, visualize it. Think about that, not here in this hustle and bustle of the airport. And you have to talk to yourself to do that.
I would tell my younger self to just be bold and passionate and try as many things without any fear as I can. I would tell my younger self to just put myself in every single nook and cranny that there is. Your goals don't have to be done right now, and plan them, and then plan them even smaller till you take baby steps, which turn into big steps. And I listen to music, I dance to music, and it just helps me decompress and have fun.
First and foremost, I take a deep breath before I start my day, because I know that anything can happen at any time, but I also try to stick to a routine where I eat breakfast at the same time every day. I try to take a few minutes for myself at lunch, because the times in between those can be really chaotic, but as long as I have a couple points of my day that I'm able to anchor myself in, it helps keep it all together for me.
Art in a community is absolutely integral, at least as far as we're concerned here at Contemporary Craft. It's a way of developing a language that we can't necessarily articulate through words, as well as it's an opportunity to actually find words to talk about things that we otherwise might not be able to come up with on our own. It brings joy, it brings peace, it brings opportunity to meditate, and it also can be the catalyst for really difficult conversations. And art was kind of the community that embraced me and allowed me to find myself, become okay with who I was, and probably what really encouraged me to dive in and try to reciprocate and give that back to other people.
For me, it's hard because I am always afraid, always anxious. Like, I can feel my heart beating right now. But it's just, you have to know for yourself what you're willing to do and what you're willing to put yourself through, like new experiences and be in new spaces to get to where you want to go, right? Like, you can't just stay at home all day and expect to, like, be where you want to be, right? You have to try. It's about being able to put yourself out there and know that I might not always be the best. I might not always look the best or act the best or feel the best. But if you at least put yourself out there and you try to be better, it's gonna pay off somehow, right? You have to do something.
Travel is an instrumental part to anyone's well-being. Whether you're traveling to a beach holiday or you're looking to get away for just an afternoon, there's so many opportunities for Pittsburgh to fulfill that quality of life that everyone is seeking. Whether it's outdoor recreation, which is fantastic to support the well-being of individuals and families, but also arts and culture and the experience that those opportunities evoke. For me, there's a lot that I do as a person that focuses on well-being and balance of life and work. Being present and remaining present every single day is important. Anything on two wheels is how I express myself from a well-being standpoint. We have an amazing amount of trails that individuals can get out on here all the way down to Washington, D.C. It's really exciting to have the opportunity to go out on various trails and have new experiences every single time.
I appreciate wins, and I try to always maintain something called mindfulness, where I go to a place maybe an hour a day and achieve mindfulness. That's where I don't think about nothing. And sometimes you have to force yourself to do that. I practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, and I've been doing it for about 14 years. And it's taught me more life lessons than I've ever learned in any job. It teaches me how to deal with stress, how to deal with uncomfortableness, and then achieve wins. I think as we get older, when we stop being kids, we don't do that. Set myself some goals and achieve them, that's a win.
I think it's identifying what your triggers are. For example, for me today, to be here, I had some anxiety about being on camera, and then I wasn't sure about traffic. So I left early to build myself that time in. I GPSed it to see, it said it takes me 40 minutes. So I knew I wanted at least 20 minutes just to sit and decompress. So I left an hour early. I would rather be early than to get here rushing at the last minute. That is what I mean when I talk about planning and knowing what your triggers are. If you know you're going on a trip with friends, and you decide you all want to ride together, but you are the kind that wants to get to the airport 3 hours ahead, but your one friend is like, I'm flying by the seat of my pants. You might want to catch an Uber, and then you ride home together after the trip. So those are the types of things that can be helpful in helping manage stress.